I gotta wait. How long I gotta wait for a press record?
Go.
Welcome to the share, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
It's Dreme, and we got a season 2. Your Black Bostonian here, a product of a single mother who I work to make proud every single day. I'm a 3-degree holder, your veteran educator, your tech entrepreneur, and founder of the Chair platform. My platform is dedicated to supporting Black and Brown people on their hair journey by creating hairboards, connecting to hairstylists, and sharing haircare tips for a more joyous experience. My podcast is about sharing hair stories, educator stories, entrepreneurship stories, and stories surrounding identity with goals to leave you laughing, learning, and advocating. So come in and listen to the stories in the chair.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Mitch. Mitch, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, what up, beautiful people out there? I'm Mitch Gaines. That's Gaines with a Y because I'm a little bit gay. No E because we stopped doing E in the 90s. I am I don't even know what to call myself at this point, a multi-hyphenate, multidisciplinary millennial. I'm currently, I guess, a basketball coach and youth mentor and basketball referee. Before that, I was a graphic designer. I did some communications writing. I worked in software startups, professional sports. I hosted a podcast of my own. I was a political organizer, professionally and non-professionally. So I've worn a lot of hats over the years, but I'm just Mitch, I guess, at the end of the day.
Mitch and I met a couple years at a wedding.
Yes, one of my favorite weddings I've ever been to.
Yeah, it was really lovely, and
One of the best groups of people at a wedding I've ever been to.
it was really full of love, and it was just really sweet. And so we were introduced. We were the only 2 Black people there.
As is my common experience at weddings here in New England. This was in Pennsylvania, so I'd hoped for better. But.
This is true. And we had a great conversation. It chatted it up, and then I was also talking to your wife at the time. And then
Still my wife.
Yeah.
Just to clarify.
Yes. And then we exchanged Facebook information, and then we just
old people do.
Yeah. Then we just became friends on Facebook. And then you've always posted about coaching basketball and fighting the system that way. You also post about organizing in your area and neighborhood. And then it was always just really cool to read because I was like, oh man, this guy's fighting the system out there in Lynn and Salem, and we're just arguing about things.
These places where Black people don't really exist.
Yeah, and I was like, okay. And so when it came to my podcast, I was like, oh, I wonder if he'll be on. I know we've only had one conversation, but it would be really cool.
I mean, similarly speaking, it's funny that a lot of people, I mentioned I wanted to do this in person because, like, online I have a pretty combative persona, reputation, or whatever because of a lot of that work, right? Like, a lot of what I do is speaking up and fighting the system and, quote unquote, trying to help the underprivileged or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, like, I don't actually see that as like a combative thing. That's just like people should be able to be proud of who they are and like go about life with the confidence everybody else gets to, no matter what they're labeled. Mm-hmm. And so whether that's like a kid I mentor who's 17 and like their dad's here without papers and their mom passed away a few years ago and like they're trying to figure out their place in life. Like, is that young girl allowed to have a voice? Is she allowed to speak up for herself? Or are you going to tell her like, because of who she is or her racial makeup or her queer identity that like she needs to present herself or comport herself in a certain way? Mm-hmm. And like, does she have a role model that like she can see speak out and like be somebody who's like, no, like I'm not going to stand for that shit. And like, I don't think that's combative because the world I'm raised in, like I was telling you offline, like I'm raised by white people in the Northeast, man. Like I'm raised with a lot of hubris and a lot of privilege and a lot of access. And so like, I expect a lot out of my life. You know what I mean? I don't have a low bar for anything. And also coupling that with being Black in the Northeast, I joke all the time that like, there's only 2 ways to be Black here. There's Black excellence and there's Black poverty. And there's no Black middle class in New England. There's too few of us. You know what I mean? So like you either excel or you die. And that's pretty much what it is to be here. And so like, I want to be an example for people somewhere in the middle where it's like, Yeah, I'm not excelling, dude. Like I don't own 4 cars. I don't even have a retirement fund. I last time I made 6 figures was when I sold drugs as a kid. You know what I mean? Like I'm not out here like crushing it, but I'm also like I'm not impoverished. Like you know what I mean, I just ordered like $600 worth of pottery because I wanted nice things in my house. And like, you know, I cook fancy recipes and go out to nice restaurants and travel a couple times a year. And like, I have a very nice middle class life. And I want people who are sort of like on those fringes and on those edges of identities, whether those are young people or old people, black people or brown people or white people, queer people or straight people, you know, all of these different people like deserve to be seen and feel like they're allowed to like have value in the way they want to live life, not just the way they're told to live life. And so like no matter what I'm doing, that's sort of like the focus of what I do. So now that's basketball, and like sort of how I got into that was a friend I met at a protest, literally like did not know this guy. He looked me up on Facebook because like he had met me at a protest in the town we were living at the time. I reached out to him because I knew he was coaching. He said he needed an assistant. So I showed up the first day of the season, not even like no interview, no nothing, just showed up. That guy left for a new job at the end of that year. I've been there for another 3 years, and I just fell in love with it. And part of what I fell in love with was like this collection of young women who like, I don't have to tell you as a femme-identified person, like girls in sports don't get a ton of respect, and especially as you move down the ladder to Division 5 charter school, middle school girls basketball, like there's a lot of people who simply don't give a fuck, right? So like, you know why I'm a referee now? Because my first game, I was chirping the referee so much about him not being invested that he blew the whistle, turned to me and said, here's the details for when the class is. If you want to yell at me so much, go take the class and make sure you're right. Okay. So I took the class, and now I'm a referee. And I'm the referee who gets to check old white coaches on the bench who yell at their kids too much. Or the parent in the stands who's like, this is just girls basketball. Why do you care so much? It's like, because this might be this girl's only chance to be on a team. This might be her introduction to basketball that she gets to the WNBA one day. And this might be everything else in between. Was I a star basketball player? Did I go to college to play basketball? No. I stopped playing organized basketball when I was 14 years old, right? But it's an important part of my life. And like, it's helped me build friends. It's helped me reconnect with my community now. It's helped me find a way to be in service of social justice causes I care about. And all of that is like through somebody exposing me to that and like making me think it was important. So don't devalue it just because it's a 6th grader or a 10th grader in Division 5 or whatever else it might be. It's like those kids have value too. And so that's sort of my life ethos is like those people have value too. Sorry, that was a very long-winded.
No, you're fine. I think it's important. It gives so much context about who you are and why you've decided to go down a bunch of the rabbit holes that you've chosen. And I'm curious to know, when did you start organizing? When was that first memory for you?
Organizing is like a loose term to me. So like, I can tell you the first time I remember like using the term organizing in reference to myself was probably sometime around the first Trump election. I did some political work in 2016, like helping out with some door knocking and like handing out leaflets, stuff like that, nothing serious. But I guess like that was probably my introduction to like organizing and just realizing like, hey, a lot of this really is just like one human being meeting another human being, having a positive interaction, and then being like, okay, I'll go check the box because of that guy. And the more people you talk to, sadly, like that is universally true. That is true across genders, races, everything. Like people vote mostly based on who makes them feel good and who they're familiar with. And like that's not rocket science, right? Like everybody knows that at their core. That's what retail politics is. Like you got to show up at the fish fry and hand out the pies or whatever the fuck it is. But like at the end of the day, like somebody's got to go out there and be that guy, right? And so like that was a real like turn for me as like a very contrarian person, argumentative person, whatever. Like I'm used to being on the side of like, I'm going to go give the fiery speech and rally the people. And now I was out there like knocking doors and being like, hey, well, like tell me what you think and let's find some middle ground. And so that gave me an opportunity to sort of like reframe a lot of the anger I had as curiosity. And that served me really well, sort of like moving through life, because like the world's a very angering place, especially since that time, 2016 until now, let's call it a decade or so. Like, how much time have you spent being angry? I know that for me, it's like once every third day, for 10 years, it's a lot of righteous anger, right? But you got to be able to like do something with that, and you got to be able to bridge that gap and like find common cause and curiosity in other people's lives. And I think The line I always kind of come back to, which definitely predates, my organizing career, is like, I will accept anything you can articulate. And so I'm a communications guy. I went to school from communications. I like to write. I do graphic design. I like to speak. Obviously, I'm very long-winded. So to me, like, if you can articulate it, right, that means you've thought enough about it to put words to it, and like you can explain yourself. I don't care who you are. I will accept you. You can be a murderer. You can be a rapist. You can be a poor person, a rich person, a billionaire, a soldier. It does not really matter to me. If you can articulate why you made those choices, then I'll respect that and like I'll accept that.
Can you tell me your definition of articulating?
As simply put, like put words to it. And if people still have questions, being able to keep answering the questions. So like when people ask me why I am the way I am, like I can answer your why. You can ask me why about everything in my life, and I can answer that to a desired outcome for 90% of people, about 90% of my life.
For you, when does articulation start to break down? Is it after the third why, when people are struggling to...
Well, that's a big problem in my life. It's like, yeah, I don't mind asking a sixth or seventh why, and a lot of people, like, they'll be frustrated about the second. Like, so if I ask you, why did you become an educator?
I became an educator because of racism.
All right. Now, like, why is education the route you chose to face racism? There's a bunch of other, you could have done medicine, you could have done a lot, right? And so then, like, immediately that one question for a lot of people, even just your quick reaction, it's like, wait, why do I need to defend this? Like, education's a great thing. I do a righteous thing. I have a good reason for it. Like, I don't have to justify why I chose education instead of becoming a lawyer or a hairdresser or whatever else to fight racism, right? Mm-hmm. But like, I want to know, right?
And I have a reason.
And therefore, like, your reason could literally be like, because I want to murder all the white people, right? And I don't agree with that as a half white person, right? But like, if that's your reason and you can articulate that, and I follow up with a why, and you're like, because a whole bunch of white people murdered my family, and I follow up with why, and we talk about like the history of slavery and the migration up to bottom. Okay, there's a valid reason that like you got into education as a way to try and educate other Black people to get themselves like coherent enough about the world to not carry this anger where you want to kill all the white people. Okay, cool. But your why could be anything. So long as we get down that path and like I feel that you're genuine and like you believe something about why you're doing it, I'm cool with it, man. Like there's too much anger channeling around in the world just about difference. And so like the whole goal is for all of us to live in harmony, right? So like to live in harmony, you have to accept that not everybody, just about everybody is different from you. You know what I mean? Like there's like 0.001% of the world is like you.
I find this interesting. I think for me, there's not a problem with difference for me. I think difference makes us understand why we care the way we care and to the extent we care. I could have gone into medicine. I could have gone into this, but the events in my life in college led me this way. There's no problem with that. I think when it comes to politics, because I talk politics all, when people are like, oh, let's not talk about politics, I'm like, my whole life is political. And so
everybody's existence is political.
Yeah, and
if you don't understand that, you're crazy.
And so for me, everything is a political discussion because every part of my life is up for discussion. Right. And when people don't want it to be up for discussion, that's when it's a political issue. And the problem I have is when the difference harms a person. Your morals are harming my existence. That's my problem. Like, I don't care if you identify as a Republican, but if the core beliefs harm me, that is the problem I have.
I think that's where like I fundamentally agree with you, because to me it's like that's different. The belief is about an action you're gonna take in the future. The articulation is about who you've been to this point, right? Okay. So like I can accept that you voted Republican. I can accept that you voted for Trump. I can accept that you used to hate Black people. I can accept all of these things if you can articulate them and they're a past belief or even one that you're willing to have a present challenging conversation about.
Like there's all the levels of white people have to go through in terms of recognizing racial identities and systemic racism. Like they have to go through the guilt. They have to go through the uncomfort. They have to go through the denial.
Exactly. You familiar with Pete Buttigieg?
Yeah.
So Pete Buttigieg was on this podcast a couple weeks ago, and he told this really beautiful story about this woman that he worked with in South Bend. Super conservative woman, worked in the city hall with him when he was mayor, whatever. And he came out after his first term and got reelected or whatever.
Yeah.
But this woman came up to him, I don't know, it's like 4 years after he came out over in City Hall and said something to the effect of like, I see your friend around all the time, and he's a really nice guy. I'm happy for you. But she said friend.
Yeah.
And like, as a fellow queer person, we got queer people, like, my hair stands up in the back of my neck. I'm like, lady, that's my fucking partner. Right? Like, are you really gonna like disrespect me? And instead, him choosing to take that moment as like, oh, like I'm glad you feel that way. And like accepting that that's her first step in getting to partner is to acknowledge that like, hey, maybe this guy having a guy friend around all the time is pretty cool and neat.
Yeah, that's intercontact there.
Right.
It's the existence. Someone's existence has to remind you that they live, that they are real people. When I was teaching in China, we had all these different units that I could choose from. And so one of the units I chose was looking at family dynamics. I grew up with a single mother. And so I was explaining that to the kids. And my kids were like, no, that's not a real thing. And I was like,
wait, what do you mean no?
Like they were like, no, you can't have just a mom.
Bro, there's like 1 billion people in China. There's got to be single moms.
Yeah, but I was dealing with third graders who went to an international boarding school that was extremely expensive. And so all of my kids had 2 parents.
And probably a nanny and a living. Like they had 7 adults in their life or whatever, yeah.
It had a lot of people. And it was boarding school, so I saw them more than they saw their parents. But all of them agreed. So I had 44 kids who were like, your experience, this is different for me. But my existence being like, yes, I have a single mom and I'm teaching you. Our mentor text was looking at Annie, the Black version. So I was explaining foster care to them. I was explaining adoption to them. And they were like, oh, this is real. But they couldn't comprehend that because that wasn't their reality. It wasn't real to them. But having to learn that, I'm going to give my kids a pass. But I'm like, okay, if I have these group of kids, I know there are a group of adults who are just like them, who are like, no.
Where we share stories in the chair.
Look, it's my commercial. We will be right back.
It's more than just a bad hair day. It's a journey. Finding the right hairstyle isn't easy, nor is finding the right stylist or the right products. Looking in every corner of the web gets messy, overwhelming, and exhausting. All the ads, the articles, the products, the videos, it shouldn't be this hard, but it is. And now, it isn't. The Chair. A black and brown centered platform where you can design hairboards, connect to hairstylists, and share hair care tips for a new joyful path on your hair journey. Avoid the clutter, save yourself hours, months, and even years of research and poor trial and error. Everything you need and only what you need is in one place. Hairboards made by people like you, for you. Find the right products, the right people, the right answers for you, stress-free. Join the Chair community and make every day a great hair day. When you share your pain, you allow others to help you. And when you share your success, you help others get theirs. Lean on the Chair. We got you.
No stress, no strife. In the chair, the chair, the chair. All right.
That's the tricky part, right? It's like how much leeway do you give? And so like I guess that's why I've drawn that line at articulation, because like if you're not willing to respect me enough as a fellow adult or human being to articulate yourself as to why you're being this way to me, then I don't need to respect you. If you know, if you're gonna just scream. This is a funny story. It goes back to a former job I had. I left my laptop charging in a room, right? I come back, my laptop has been moved. It's gone. The charger is still there. So I see the charger is still there. I'm like, hey, has anyone seen my laptop? Whatever. I'm pretty sure this is the charger. blah, 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 take the charger of the wall. I go to leave the office with a woman who I hadn't even spoken to in this interaction. She'd just come into the office. Says to me, a black man, hey, are you sure you're not taking somebody else's charger? First response, yeah, I'm pretty sure. Like, I've had this charger for 10 years. It goes with my laptop that's missing from this exact spot. But, like, I appreciate your concern. Is there a reason you're worried that I might be taking somebody else's charger? Well, you don't need to get defensive about it. I just don't want anyone else's stuff to come in. I'm not defensive. I'm asking you to articulate why you felt the need to speak up about a concern that somebody else's property, whose you can't identify, who you don't know the claim of, might be getting taken by me because you're suspicious. Why? Articulate that. Now, you can best believe she couldn't articulate that. And then when I found my laptop 20 minutes later, I went and gave her a piece of my mind and told her that, like, that makes me really uncomfortable as a black person. The position you put me in makes me really uncomfortable as a black person. She couldn't articulate anything else in that moment, so I left. And then she went to our boss and said that I came after and harassed her because I refused to take her inability to articulate why she needed to confront me as a criminal was okay. So then when my boss confronted me about that and asked me to have what do we call it in education, a restorative circle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said to him, there's nothing to restore. I'm good. Her feelings are hurt because I questioned her view and she couldn't articulate why she felt the need to behave that way. And when I went back and gave her a second opportunity, she continued to be defensive as I explained to her why this hurt me, why the context this occurred in was problematic for me as a black person, how this endangered other staff and children at this workplace and school. And the response was, I need to apologize. So I don't work there anymore. And that's okay by me. But that's my point. It's like, there's a level to which to accept it. And once we've surpassed that, I will let you know just how badly you fucked up, and there will be no backing down. You will not win an argument with me. You will there will be no you are not gonna try to out tough guy. That's what I'm here for. That's my point. It's like, I have access. Like, I'm from the land of Harvard and rich people and shit, right? Like, I got good lawyers and rich friends, and I do podcasts with people with fucking master's degrees as a hobby. You know what I mean? Like, this is the world I come from. But I'm a broke nigga with nothing to lose at the end of the day. So if you need somebody to go be in between you and a problem, I'm happy to be him. I can talk to as long as the day is. You know what I mean? I'm 6'1" and 240. No one really wants a physical confrontation. So at the end of the day, that's my role in society. Is I will give you as long of a leash as possible. But as soon as you start disrespecting us, and by us, I mean all the others. Because, see, I'm agnostic. I'm half white, half black. Sort of from a single parent household, but not really. I was raised by a social worker and a drug addict. So one of them died young. I'll let you guess who. And so I had roughly a single parent childhood, but the foundation of a great 2-parent childhood. I was raised by a Northern Catholic and a Southern Baptist together, a musical household and a engineering and social welfare type of I do it all, baby. I'm over here with all the others. So it doesn't bother me at all if you're a woman with a dick. That's cool. You know what I mean? It don't bother me if you got 9 races and you can't even identify what 3 of them are because you got adopted twice over and can't figure out your family birth. Cool, man. I accept that. That's fine by me. But if your issue is you can't accept those people, sure. Tell me why. I'm the first one in line. I'm the most like you. And so I know your podcast is a lot about hair, right? That's where a lot of my presentation comes into play. It's I'm as normal as the others come. What does that mean? I'm 6'1", a sturdy 240. I present pretty straight. You know what I mean? I got a nice hard jawline and bold beard. I'm a man in every sense of the term. If you see me, but I'm also a man with a ponytail most of the time. I'm a man with flowing curls. I'm a man who had dreadlocks. I'm a man who had braids. I'm a man who wears pink shirts. I'm a man who wears flowers. You know what I mean? I'm a man who does all this other shit to challenge regular masculinity. Mostly because you can't fuck with my masculinity. It's untouchable. I exist in this body. If masculinity is what you say it is a regressive person, I am all of it. You know, I'm big and strong and broad-shouldered and big-jawed and big-dicked. I'm a man in every way you want to define it. So then you tell me, what are men allowed to do again? Because I do all this other shit. I painted my nails when I was 10. Kept doing it through high school back in fucking 2004 when this was I did that shit in juvie. You want to challenge my intellect? My lawyers are scared to argue with me. So this is what I mean. Articulate why you have a problem with us. What is your issue with Muslims? What is your issue with trans women? What is your issue with this little girl who wants to play basketball? Or this little teenager who doesn't have a mom and a dad to lean on and is being raised by a crazy fucking aunt or uncle or whatever. You know what I mean? What is your issue with these people? Because if you've got an issue with them, you've got an issue with me. And I'm a lot like you. I'm from here. I look like you. I stand up straight. I do jobs like you. I did sales. I did marketing. My family fixes their own cars and builds their own cabinets. You know what I mean? Like, and so like, what part of being a man can you challenge me on? And if once you erase that in a world that, as we know, like values white supremacy and patriarchy, right? Like, if I'm half white and whole a man, how many of them want to stand up to me?
Oh, and if you're interested to learn more about my experiences as a Black woman and educator in Guangzhou, China, I wrote my first ebook titled Nowhere and Everywhere, Captured Emotions of a Beautifully Broken Love Story. It is on lulu.com. Take a read and see some beautiful photography of mine. Enjoy the rest of the show. I'm curious to know, when you started unpacking your identity, understanding that you're going against traditional norms of masculinity, you understand yourself as a biracial person. What was the start? What was it?
Oh, like where did that start? The biracial part is super young. Because like so I guess to back up a little bit, like just some family background. Like my mom is white, my dad is Black, my dad's from North Carolina, my mom's from up here. So like all my family who's around, most of my dad's side family passed away before I was born. What's left of it, they're all passed away by now anyway, including my father. So everyone who I'm raised around as like family is white people for the most part. I have no Black family really besides like my brother and my dad growing up. Now, with that said, then like you get sat down pretty early by your dad, who's like, this is one of the funny parts. Do you have siblings?
I have a sister.
Older or younger?
Younger.
Okay, so you maybe had this experience. Did your mom sit you and your sister down together for any of the big talks, whether that was like race or sex or any of those?
Yes.
Okay, so think about this, right? That might have been perfectly age appropriate for you, but I'm 4 years younger than my brother, right? So like, yeah, you just kind of do that shit together sometimes when you have same gendered kids or whatever. But like, I'm getting the world's gonna treat you differently as a Black man, and you're gonna be 10 times better to get just as far whatever as like, an 8-year-old, or because my brother's 12, 13 at that time, and like that makes sense. Little do I know, my dad's gonna be fucking dead 5 years from now, so thank God he got all this shit out. But like, he's giving me this whole spiel at like 7, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, it's whatever, man. I know like 10 people and half of them are Black, right? Like my brother's Black, my dad's Black. There's a foster family right up the street from me, so like half their kids are Black. So like in my neighborhood, in my very white city that I grew up in my very white neighborhood, like it's like half the kids I know are Black in 1997 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like this is my father, when he moved to this town, was the 7th Black person on record in the town, factually. So to have like 8 of us in a neighborhood is insane, of the same age. And so like, it didn't even register me. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. I'm not even that Black. You know what I mean? Alonzo's Blacker than me. So, right. And so then like coming of age with that, like it would pop up at all these different turns, and it became like real clear to me what that would mean. And so I think the earliest in like, well, it's funny. I don't know if this is true for darker skinned people. This might be one of those places where colorism really kicks in, but like there's a real, oh my God, they're so cute to like biracial babies.
Yes.
And so like a lot of my first understanding of race was like positive, not negative. It's like, oh my God, you've got like the most beautiful hair ever. Like, let me tell you. And like when you're a little kid, you're just like, oh, that's attention. Like, that's cool. Like,
so fetishism, exoticism.
Right. But like, you don't know any of those words as an 8-year-old, right?
Yeah,
you're just like, attention, sick. Like teachers like me and kids like me and parents like me. I'm crushing it. Go me. Where's the peanut butter cookies or whatever? You know what I mean? Like, that's how it felt. And then like, by the time you're like 10 and your friends are trying to set like a Guinness Book World Records for how many like pencils they can put in your afro, you're like, this feels a little off, but like, I don't know, like these are my friends, right? These are the homies, we doing a thing, we gonna be in the Guinness Book of World Records. And then like, by the time you're 11 and then everybody's playing grab ass on the school bus and only 3 of you get pulled into the principal's office and it becomes real clear, like, you're no longer cute anymore. Right? And so all that shit your dad told you to like warn you about, like, oh yeah, people are gonna think you're real cute, and then one day you're gonna be a man and they're gonna think you're scary, and that's gonna happen a lot sooner than you're really a man. Was like that's what I took away from that, 30 years later now, whatever. And like that is what I'll be passing on to my son for sure if I have one, is like, you are a cute little biracial baby with fluffy little hair and everybody loves you. And then one day you're going to hit puberty and you're going to have a little bit of a broad shoulder and you're going to be a little bit taller than everybody else and a little bit more athletic, in big air quotes, and all of a sudden you're going to be a threat. And I'll be damned if that isn't exactly the trajectory my life took. You know what I mean? Like, I was the coolest little kid. Like, I was dating the cutest girl in my elementary school in 3rd grade and buying my little, like, heart ring at CVS or whatever in 4th grade, and I was the captain of my floor hockey team, and like I helped us start a yearbook in in elementary school when we didn't have one before, and like helped hand draw the cover and all that. Like, I was cool as shit in elementary school, and I got to middle school and I thought I was gonna be crushing it, and by the time like I entered 6th grade, the man, like I play every sport, I'm friends with everybody, every girl, I'm in all areas of young manness, I'm killing. By the time I leave 8th grade, I've been expelled from middle school. I am in juvenile detention. My father has moved out of my house because, like, my mother has had enough of his drug addiction situation. And everybody is just looking at me with that look of, like, you're a big, scary black man. You're in courtrooms now. You know how they look at 6-foot black men with mustaches in courtrooms? You know what I mean? Like, you know how you look when you get followed by police, when you're on fucking probation as a teenager? All that shit, like, every one of those check boxes. And, like, I'm so thankful to, like, survive that, to, like, have these stories to tell or whatever. But that shit kicked into overdrive in a real time. So when you talk about, like, becoming aware of your identity, it's like, so you're 11 years old, right? You're hitting puberty, like, as a queer person, you're, like, starting to, like, play with that identity a little bit, right? You paint your nails, but that, again, all of that, any sort of, like, that queer tiptoeing, like, that feels 10 times more dangerous because, like, I have no example of black queerness, right? Like, that doesn't exist yet. Like, yeah, this is 1999 in North Shore, Massachusetts. Like, it's real white, and if you know queer people, it's Marco from Degrassi and whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Marco.
I'm so glad you get that reference.
Yes.
But that's what I had to work with. You know what I mean? Like, I have no black queerness to work with. So the idea of, like, painting your toenails even as, like, a young queer black boy in this space felt, like, radical. And so all this is viewed with acceptance because I'm still adorable and cute. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you that weird faggot ass nigga. Oh, you fucking gay ass nigga, go over there. Like, we don't fuck with y'all. I need to, like, hide my queerness so I'm allowed to still play sports and, like, my teammates will like me. It's everybody is scared to be seen dating the black boy. Or if you do, you have jungle fever, right? None of the white boys want to date you no more. Like, all this shit happens in middle school. And so, like, how quickly that flipped from, like, I was on top of the world to the bottom of the list like that. And all that changed, retrospectively, this is why I, like, feel so strongly about a lot of this shit now. It's like, all that change was kids got introduced to what adults thought about the kids they were around. All those kids had no problem with it. We got older, and what happens when you get older, right? Like, you start hanging out more, like, you get a little more free time, and parents start asking, like, oh, who you hanging around? They start monitoring your friends, right? Because, like, you have friends now. You didn't have friends before. You hung out with, like, who your parents brought you around, right? Your cousins and whatever. And so it's like, oh, you have friends now. Well, who these friends of yours? He plays 3 sports, and he's an honor roll star. Oh, he sounds like a really nice guy. Why don't you bring him over? Oh, him? With the cornrows? Are you sure he's on the honor roll? You know what I mean? Like, it was a lot of that sort of shit. And so, like...
So you're dealing with adults projecting onto...
Oh, for sure.
A little kid.
Well, and this is, like, again, this is just starting to set the stage, right? Like, we can fast forward 10 years, and I can tell you about the girl who, like, broke up with me because her grandmother didn't want her to date and I quote, a gay nigger. Verbatim.
Massachusetts.
Word. And so I'm just like, I'm, for the record, I'm bisexual and married to a woman. we opened this podcast, but I'm still married to my wife. I'm not that gay. I sucked a few dicks. I had a good time. I appreciate the male form. You know what I mean? But like, I'm pretty straight. You know what I mean? So to call me like wholly gay is hilarious. But this is what I mean. Like, all of that happened so quickly that it taught me a lot about like what was acceptable and what was something to hide and feel shame about. And I think one of the defining takeaways from my adolescence that served me well in my 20s, and I question a lot in my 30s if it's still serving me well. And a lot of these decisions keep me up at night, honestly. But like, I just chose shamelessness. I decided shameless wasn't going to be a dirty word to me. I'm not going to be made to feel shame, but the only way you can defend shameful things is articulation.
Mitch, thank you so much for sitting in the chair and sharing your stories. I truly
I feel like we
truly
barely talked
appreciate
about hair. Jesus.
it.
Very tangential notes on locks and braids and whatever. See my wedding photos for more details. I guess.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. This was excellent. This is the most fun I've had on podcasts and probably ever. So come back anytime.
Welcome to the chair, where Miss Dreme always has a story.
Thank you for listening to an episode of The Chair. I'm going to share with you a dream of mine. I would love to be on Sesame Street. Sesame Street held my hand through childhood. In my dream, I would be in my big afro or rainbow braids sitting on the stoop sharing hair stories. I would like your help, please, by doing all the things like leave a review, share it with someone who would benefit from hearing this episode. And if you know someone who knows someone who knows someone at Sesame Street, share your favorite episode with them, and I'll make you some of my famous chocolatey hot chocolate. I hope you have a beautiful day, or if you are like me, still up in the middle of the night, I hope you take a deep breath and rest. Love you. Talk to you later.
The chair.
Hello. Please leave a message after the tone.
Dream, hello. I just wanted to tell you you're wonderful. I just got through going through your podcast. Love you, love you, love you, love you. Keep it up. Maybe I need to send it to Oprah and Tyler Perry. Love you, baby. You are great.
Where we share stories in the chicken.